Hello and welcome to SJP Advisor Stories. In this series, we interview SJP partners and advisors to share their real-life experiences. I'm your host, G for Tit, and if you have any questions that you would like to ask an SJP partner or advisor, please feel free to comment below or reach out to me on LinkedIn. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe. Hello and welcome to another episode of SJP Advisor Stories, and this time I'm delighted to be joined by Miriam Murphy. Miriam, welcome.
Hi, G. Thank you for having me today.
Well, I'm very excited to hear all about your career history. But before we get into the detail, we always ask people the same very first question, which is, what does financial advice mean to you?
So to me, financial advice is having the peace of mind that you are planning towards the future, and then in the future you're going to be in a better position than you are today, and ultimately protecting your wealth.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. That's brilliant. So Miriam, in SJP Advisor Stories, we like to really understand the background of people, their motivations for changing career and that type of thing. So let's start there. What types of roles have you done in the past before you became a financial advisor?
So for me, I actually left school at 16. I couldn't wait to get out there and earn money. I did a business admin and apprenticeship at a company, and I was there for a couple of years, and then I went on and worked, got a job at the local university in an admin role. I actually ended up being there for 13 years, so it was a long time. I must admit, it wasn't really driving me. It was a little bit, I felt a little bit bored, very complacent actually, and I always wanted to do something more, but you know, it's one of the things that unless you're actually forced into it, sometimes you just end up staying where you are because you are complacent. You know, your surroundings, you're comfortable. So that was my journey for 13 years. And then at age 31, the position became redundant because I was actually recruiting for courses, and we were doing it in person, and actually a lot of things went online in the end. So my position got made redundant. And that was kind of a bit of a turning point for me because I was also in quite a lot of debt at the time as well.
Wow. So yeah. I know you before we've spoken today, Miriam, so you have shared your story with me in the past, and I know that you're okay that I asked this question. So would you mind sharing with people a little bit more about that story and how you came to be in debt?
So, like I said, when I first started work, I just wanted to get out there and work and spend money and just buy nice things. It was just, I guess it was lack of understanding that, you know, your financial future is about what you do today. And I didn't really grasp that. I think had I really thought about it, maybe I would have, but I didn't really want to know. I was all about instant gratification. And, you know, I just wanted to have nice things now. To me, you know, I had so much time in the future where I could save up and I could make boring choices. I just wanted to, you know, live for the moment. And actually, I was working at the university, and my friend, exactly the same age as me, started at the university at the same time as well. But she made different choices to me. So we both had the same, very similar wages, both doing a similar job. But she was a saver and I was a spender. I would buy Gucci shoes. I have no idea how I afforded it, but I'd buy Gucci shoes, Gucci bags, Burberry. Can you believe Burberry? Oh, do you remember when that was in fashion? I was literally buying Burberry stuff. And, you know, she would shop in H&M. And she still looked amazing. She really did. But she'd also, you know, save her money. And by the age of 19, she actually ended up getting her first mortgage. To me, I was like, why the hell would you want to do that? That's so much money. Like, you know, you could be spending that money having a good time. Why do you want to do that? Why don't you just get serious when you're older? But, you know, she did that. And she also, we also had a DB pension because we work at the university, which is a final salary pension. I opted out of it thinking, you know, I'm not going to retire for ages. Who knows what's going to happen in my life? I might not ever see that money. But, you know, she kept it. So she just made smarter choices than me. And, you know, fast forward to the future, she, you know, when I got made redundant and I was 31, you know, she was working elsewhere, but she had a really nice house behind her. And actually now, today, she's actually paid off her mortgage. You know, and I was still renting, and we just had completely different choices, but ended up with, you know, it basically our lifestyle showed our choices in the end, what we had. You know, she had assets, she had a great house, I had a load of debt and a wardrobe that was going out of fashion.
So wow. Yeah. Thank you so much for sharing that, because I think it's really important that people listen to your story, and it's just so easy to make the choices that you made. And
Yeah.
not all of us have that friend that you had that were making good choices, but I guess at the time you may have known some of those choices she was making, but often it sort of happens behind the scenes and you don't know, and you don't really talk about money often.
Yeah.
So tell me what happened after then you got made redundant. Where did you go?
So I got made redundant in 2013. Had a lot of debt, as I said, and it was really worrying because I was renting my flat at the time, and I thought, how am I going to pay? How am I going to pay my rent? I did get a bit of a payout, but it was statutory, so it wasn't that much really. I paid off some of my debts with it, but not all. I still had quite a lot left. I luckily managed to get a job in London quite quickly, and I always wanted to work in London, so that was a good thing. It pushed me into making that decision. I need to go and do what I want to do. I want to work in London, and it was a job as a PA, and I've never actually been a PA before. And it actually scared me because it was something completely new, and I was going to be commuting into the city, and it was all just very new to me, but very exciting as well. The problem was I actually my wages were going to be less than they were when I was actually working at the university, and on top of that I had to pay for the train fees. But to me, I thought, it's going to pay off in the future. Just go for it. So I did. I had to get a flatmate because I couldn't afford my rent on my own. And yeah, so I worked in London for a while in the hospitality industry, but I still had that mindset of spending, even though I got made redundant. And you would have thought that it did wake me up a little bit, but it didn't. I still had that them habits. They were ingrained habits that were deep inside me that I hadn't actually, I guess mastered the art of changing. So I still shopped like crazy, and I still went out all the time, and I was still spending. But then it came to about 4 months in when I was like, I can't afford this lifestyle anymore. And I've got all these debts, and I wasn't paying them back. I was paying the very minimum, and I just got myself in a huge mess. And I ended up having to call up Step Change Debt Recovery. I don't know if you've heard of that charity. So I phoned them and I told them about my problems, and I don't really know what to do. I was actually very stressed. I think it took a lot for me to admit it as well. I kind of just buried it under the carpet and just carried on living, thinking, it's going to be fine. And I ended up applying for a debt relief order. So what they did was they contacted all my debtors and said to them that they need to release me from my debt for a minimum of a year. And actually, if I'm still in the same situation in a year's time, then they need to wipe them. And that's what happened. I was still in the same situation, so my debts were wiped, which was great. But it also meant that I couldn't get any credit for about 6 years. But at the same time, that was good because it stopped me from getting myself deeper into debt, I guess. In my mind, I thought I'm never going to be able to get a mortgage anyway, so that doesn't matter. You have to save up loads to get a mortgage. How the hell am I ever going to be able to do that? So to me, it was a no-brainer. It's going to clear my debts. Got to get it done. And actually, it did really help me. But I still had that spending habit. I still had that in me. I couldn't get any debt. I couldn't get any credit anymore. But I still had that. As soon as I got paid, I'm going out. I'm buying this. I'm buying that. And I think nothing goes away until it's taught you the lesson that you need to learn. And to me, I hadn't really learned the lesson. I'd kind of had a taste of it, but I hadn't learned it because otherwise I would have changed them habits. And it wasn't until I started working at Reddington in 2016 that I really started thinking about it. And that's when I met Rob Gardner.
So tell us about Reddington and what that company does, and then what you were doing. You've mentioned Rob's name. What role were you doing there, and what did you learn during that phase?
So Reddington is an investment consultancy firm, and they actually work with St James's Place. So they have the manager research team that research the fund managers that choose the investments for St James's Place. And I found the job on Indeed.com, and I applied for it, and it was quite a rigorous interview process. I remember I saw about 7 people before I actually got offered the job. I remember someone saying to me, like, I can't believe you're still, carrying that on. It's like, I would have stepped out a long time ago. I was like, no, this is a challenge. Like, I feel like that they're inviting me back is a good thing. I'm just going to keep going. And it paid off. So, so I started working with Rob Gardner and Dawid Kanoti-Hulu, the founders, and I was their executive assistant. And it's my first time in the finance world. So felt a bit weird considering my past working in the finance industry. I did have to declare, the fact that I had a DRO and things like that, because they have to do all the financial checks, and they were really, really happy that I was, open and honest with them. They're really grateful for that. So it didn't, luckily, it didn't stop them from hiring me. And I remember one of my first days, Rob took me out for breakfast to get to know me. He does that with all new joiners, either him or Darren or both of them, which is a really nice touch, I think. And then we were sitting there, it was in Paul's, in Bank, and we were sitting there, and he was saying, okay, so tell me about yourself, Miriam, where do you live? Are you married? Da, da, da. I was like, well, I'm not married. At the time I was single, haven't got any children. I actually rent at the moment with a friend. He goes, oh, okay. He goes, do you mind me asking how old you are? And I said, well, I'm 34. And he's like, okay. He goes, well, you could tell in his mind, he was thinking, okay, he loved it, because Rob's all about, financial well-being and financial education. He's thinking, okay, what is this? What's going on here? So he said to me, oh, okay, so, how come you're renting and, you haven't bought a house, and you just not want to? I said, oh, and I just literally blurted out all of my debt to him and why, and I'll never be able to get a mortgage, and it's fine, and I'm happy, I don't need a mortgage anyway. I've got a nice flat. And he said, well, Miriam, you need an asset. Like, Reddington is my asset. You need an asset. And he goes, well, what makes you think that you'll never be able to get a mortgage? And I said to him, well, it was 2016 at the time, so I still had a quite a few. I had 3 years left on the bad credit. So I was like, my credit file was bad. I haven't got enough money at the moment to save, and it's just hard to get on the property ladder. And he said, have you heard about LISAs? I said, I have heard about it, but I haven't really engaged with it, because it's not something that I really wanted to engage with, to be honest with you. Just didn't really think it was for me. And he literally made it his mission to get through to me that day. And within a couple of weeks, I started saving towards my LISA, so I could buy my house. I did owe my parents money, because whilst I wasn't able to get credit, my parents did bail me out sometimes, because I did still have that lifestyle, like I said. And so I made an Excel spreadsheet and a plan to pay off all my debts. So I thought, I'm gonna pay off my debts. I'm going to get a house. I can do this. And I had all the little tabs. So it was like a 5-year plan. And I just made sure that I followed that. And I did. I followed it. From that day, I made it my mission to get out of debt and to follow it. Because I thought, if Rob thinks I can do it, I can do it. Like, he's not looking at me thinking, oh, this girl's got no hope. He's encouraging me and saying, well, why can't you? And I just felt inspired. And I thought, yeah, I can do this. So it just, that day, that breakfast with Rob, it just changed my whole mindset, and it was a kind of a wake-up call, to be honest with you, which was lovely.
It's amazing, isn't it? And you found that job on Indeed, and it's kind of changed the direction that your life's gone in. I mean, you may have got another job, and who knows what might have happened there, but I just love the story. And then, so for anybody watching who don't know, do you want to tell us sort of Rob's next role that he did, and that you came with him?
Yeah, sure. So in 2019, Rob told me that he was going to be leaving Reddington, and he was going to be the director of investments at St James's Place. So I was like, oh, okay. I was quite sad that he was going. Still had Dowd. Dowd's lovely. But he didn't actually then ask me if I wanted to go with him, and I said, yeah. I said, actually, I think I will. That would be good. And he said, okay, well then you need to present to me. And he made me work for it. It's funny because he asked me to go with him and then made me work for it. But it is good because he pushes you out of your comfort zone. So I did. So I put a presentation together and told him how much I wanted to go and why and all the reasons. And yeah, I went along with him. So in January 2019, I joined St James's Place with Rob as his executive assistant. And we're both completely new to the company together, which was quite nice because we had each other as well. So
I love that. So you remained at SJP for a number of years, but while you were with SJP, we all lived through COVID, but tell us about what happened in your life over those years.
So towards the end of 2019, Rob actually said to me, what do you want to do with your future? And I said, I don't really know. Now, I always felt like something was missing because I left school at 16. I did study with the Open University and I did my degree in psychology, thinking that I wanted to go down that road. And I thought maybe I'll be a counsellor in the future because I love helping people. I really do. And I thought that would be a great career for me. But then on second thoughts, I was thinking, actually, I don't know I'd be able to deal with it. It's a lot to deal with emotionally, and I don't think I'd be able to leave that at work. So I decided that actually wasn't for me. So I already knew that, what I wanted to do, but then I changed my mind about it. So I told him, actually, at the moment, I don't really know. I don't really know what I want to do with my life. And he said, have you ever thought about becoming a financial advisor? And I literally was like, are you actually serious? Because Rob, like, come on, you know what my history is. How can you say that? But that's why, Miriam, I've watched you change and turn it around. You're great with people, you love people, like you want to help people, and you've got that experience. I said, yeah, but I haven't done any financial exams. I don't to be honest with you, wouldn't know where to start. Before I met you, I didn't even have an asset. I had to even look up what you meant by why should you have an asset. It's really weird, but all these little things that I didn't really pay attention to. And he said, but you can do your exams. And he goes, we'll fund you. And I do love a challenge. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to do my exams and I'm going to see if I can pass them. People say how hard they are, but you can do anything you put your mind to. So I decided at the beginning of 2020 that I was going to start doing my exams. And I started with the LP2, which is the Financial Products and Solutions, because it was like an introduction to everything, gave me an overview. I loved it, which is really weird, but I did. I loved it. I really enjoyed it. And I passed that. And I just wanted to pass all my exams first time as well. So I literally made sure that I put as many hours as I could into it. So I did try hard. I'm not going to say that I didn't try hard, because I did, but it did pay off, because I ended up doing all of my exams and passing them all first time, which made me feel really confident, because I hadn't, that is not something I'd done before. And it made me feel like I can do this. Like every time I passed an exam, it just gave me that boost that I needed. I'm going to do the next one. I'm going to do the next one. But then, it's not bad then, actually, it's a good thing. I became pregnant in 2020. So whilst I was training or doing my exams, I became pregnant, and I thought, I'm going to still do my exams. I can, I'm working with Rob, which it was very busy. Rob was like so busy. I've never worked with anyone that's so busy in my life. I was studying and I was pregnant, but I thought I may as well get as many as I can done now while I've got the baby, because when she's here, it's going to be even harder. So I did 3 exams in 2020, and then I had my daughter Alyssa. So I had her in September, and I thought I was going to carry on. But to be honest with you, it was a bit of a shock to the system. I was like, wow, actually having a baby is hard work. I need a break from this for a little while, but I was still saving towards my house. So actually my partner I met in 2018. So yeah, our first baby was in 2020, and I was still saving towards my house, and I'd actually got him on board as well to saving up, because now we were going to buy together, so we were going to get an even bigger house. He also had his own issues with money. So, I got him on board a bit, did a spreadsheet for him as well. So we were both, saving towards the house. 2021, bought our first house. Still hadn't done another exam, because I was working and had a baby, and I was like, there's no way, I can't do this right now. I really wanted to, but I just thought, no, I'm just going to have a break. Also, I felt a bit guilty that if I'm going to be studying and working, I'm not giving my daughter the attention she needs. So I think I just needed to give myself a bit of a break. So I had a bit of a break in 2021, and then bought our house, which was amazing. Like, that was such a great feeling. I bought my first house, bought it with my partner. That was great. One of the first things I did as well when Liz was born is I got her a pension. And again, that was what was telling me about, if you pay into a pension until they're 10 years old, it compounds, and by the time they retire, they'll have a lot of money. And I was just like, well, why would I not do that for her? And actually what was really nice as well, he set it up for me, so, and then I've been paying him monthly, which is really good. So got a pension for my daughter, got our house, had savings behind me, and it just felt really good. And then in 2022 I became pregnant again, and I was like, I don't want to not do these exams. And people always like, oh, having 2 is a lot harder than having 1, but I didn't think so. I think the fact that I'd been through it, and actually, to be honest with you, my daughter was a lot more full on than my son. He's very laid back, and she was just a bit more needy than him. And I think that probably helped as well, the fact that he was a lot more laid back. But I decided to pick up again, so I started doing my tax exam, which is actually, that's the one I found the hardest, the tax planning. But I was heavily pregnant actually when I picked that up again, and I passed it. And then I was on maternity leave. So I passed it in August, went on maternity leave in September. And then in December, Rob said that Rob was leaving SJP. So I was like, okay, I'm on maternity leave, Rob's leaving. well, what am I going to do? I've done by that time I've done 4 exams. You only need 6 ROs, but because I did the LP2, it was 7 altogether. But I'd done 4 by that time. And I was like, what am I going to do? And SJP were lovely. They were really, really good. They offered me an alternative role. And they really looked after me, and that was nice as well. You know, it was good that I felt appreciated, which was great. So they offered me an alternative role. But then I also thought, maybe now's the time to change to a different career. You know, that's what happened before when I got made redundant. It was the best thing that I did. I started working in London. Had that not happened, yes, I was in debt, and ultimately it was a wake up call. And actually, I ended up working in London, which I always wanted to do. So maybe this is a sign that I need to do. But I had that in the back of my mind. But childcare fees. I mean, they are crazy. Like they are so expensive. So I was thinking childcare fees. Can I afford it? And I was just thinking all these different things. That the reasons why I shouldn't do it. But in my gut, I was like, no, now's the time. So I didn't. And Rob was encouraging me as well. I think probably Miriam, now is the time to do it. But I just had to kind of think about it carefully. And then as SJP offered me an alternative role, I asked them if there was any chance if I could take redundancy instead, and they kindly accepted that. So they offered me redundancy. I was like, okay, so now I've got a little bit of money as well behind me. I've got my emergency fund. Again, that's one of the first things you need, an emergency fund. So I had my emergency fund. I put some money into the tax-free childcare, so that was building up as well. Like I was just making all these choices to try and secure myself if I did make that jump. And it was a bit of an emotional time, so I didn't really know what to do. And so then I picked up my exams, did 3 of them in 2023 while I was on maternity leave, just got them out of the way with the little baby. Like I said, he was so laid back though, which was great. But he was sitting in his bouncer and I was just studying away. So I did the final 3 exams that I needed to get done. And then I visited a couple of partner practices. They were really lovely, but I didn't have that yes feeling, if that makes sense. I was still like, I don't know. And I was thinking, do you know what? I'm just gonna find a job elsewhere. The experience that I've got, I can actually get a job for 80,000. I was looking, and I think I'm just gonna do that, and then maybe in the future I'll be an advisor. Right now it's not the right time, and I was just I'm and ahhing. And then Carol Stubbs phoned me, who I had actually been speaking to for a little while, and she said, Miriam, I've given your CV to Hall and Costello. They're really keen to meet you. And by that time I was like, I must admit I wasn't excited because I was like, I don't really know if I want to do this now. But I thought Carol's worked so hard and she's really excited. I thought, I'm just going to go.
So let's just explain who Carol is. Carol's one of our recruitment managers, and we have them sort of across the country, don't we, in different locations. So she was sort of working within your area, and she knew that you were looking for roles. She was trying to help you find the right practice. So she sent off your CV, and then someone wanted to meet you.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, and Carol was amazing. She's so passionate about her role, and she didn't push me into anything. She was like, she knew that I had my reservations, and she just listened to me, and was there if I wanted to pick up a call. She was phone. She was there, but she was just very, very supportive. So anyway, when she told me about Holden Costello, I was like, okay, I'll go because she's done all this for me, and she's very excited. So let's see what it's all about. And I went there and I met Ben Hall and Nicola Bourne, who is the practice manager, and Ben Hall's the managing director. And I just fell in love with them. The practice, as soon as I walked in there, I just had this feeling like this, without even speaking to them, I just felt like this is where I belong. I want to work here. This is, and then when I met with them and spoke to them, it was just a done deal for me. I was like, no, it didn't feel like an interview. It was just a conversation, and I could just be myself. And I love their values and their morals and what they were about. They were just very genuine, down to earth people. And I just knew that it was right. And they actually offered it to me there and then as well, which was lovely.
That's so lovely. I'm so happy that happened. And let's just take a step backwards. I think when people join SJP Academy, they have a choice to either start their own business, don't they, or join an existing practice. And our recruitment managers like Carol, if you do want to join a practice, will help you navigate which practice, which is great. But why did you choose to join a practice rather than start a business yourself?
So that's a good question. And it was one of the, whilst I was ruminating about what to do, that was one of the key things as well. Do I go on my own? Do I work for a practice? I knew I didn't want to be employed because I'm 41, I've got 2 children. I wanted to go out, and if I was going to do it, I want to go and do it properly. And I thought, what is the middle ground between being employed and going off on my own? It is kind of being self-employed as part of a practice. I love being part of a team, and there's experienced advisors there that I can learn off, bounce ideas off. They've got power planners, they've got the admin support, and I can go into the office and just get to know everyone and just feel part of a team instead of feeling almost, I guess, lonely if you're doing it on your own, maybe. I mean, I'm sure some people don't feel like that, but for me, I'm a people's person, and I just want to be around a team. So that's why, and I was like, yeah, 100% wanted to go and work with Hall and Costello and the practice.
It felt like home as soon as you walked in, which I love. So
Yeah.
Tell me a bit more about the onboarding or selection process that Carol helped you with. How did that feel, and how else were you helped along that journey?
So Carol, she's checking with me quite a lot, and she guided me through the whole application process. So I know that if I ever had any questions, I could just text her. She was just very responsive. It was great. And then I went through to the academy selection manager, and that was Chris Ben. And he was, do you know what? Every person I met along the way were just so lovely and so helpful, and it just felt easy. I could just be myself, and that was great. So Chris, again, he was lovely. He actually, he said they give you advice at the end of it, at the end when they've selected you. The advice he gave to me is, he said, I think you're great. I think you're going to do really well, but I do think you talk quite a lot. I was like, oh God, it's the story of my life. But it was lovely because they're very honest with you, and they tell you, what they think, but they'll tell you ways you can improve as well. So yeah, he was lovely. The whole thing was just great, and I had to present to them as well. The hard part was the business plan, pulling together a business plan, which I've never done before. So I was like,
I think you'd be 99% of people that join us will be in the same boat. So you certainly weren't alone. So tell us about that then. What did you have to do?
So you had to put down on how you're going to get clients, how much money you're going to bring in the first year, second year, third year. And you had to give like a detailed analysis basically of what your business plan was going to be. And I just thought, I don't know where to start, because it's like I'm pulling numbers out of the sky. What do I do? I don't want to pull numbers out of the sky. I want to write something down that actually I'm going to follow up with. But how do I know until I do it? But again, that's another great reason why joining a partner practice, that's another bonus of it, because they helped me. I spoke to them, and they've been through it with other advisors, and they helped me think about it. What are my strengths, and what can I do to get clients? What's my why? And they really, really helped me to put that together. And then afterwards, when I was doing it, I was like, oh, I know how to do this, and I just wouldn't stop writing. So it's just, sometimes when you've got the blank sheet of paper in front of you, you don't know where to start. But when you get going, it's like writing an assignment. It all just comes out. So it's just, it's the initial part that's a bit scary, but then when you get going, it's actually fine.
Brilliant. And you've already mentioned you studied the exam, you self-studied the exam, so you didn't study with the academy, and you joined us fully qualified. So you skipped. Yeah. So I think the SJP Academy is structured where you can come and study. If you've already qualified, you just skip term 1 and join at term 2, which is trained to advise, which is the soft skills more. So have you finished that part of the training? Where are you in your training?
So I started the academy in June, the 5th of June, and I finished the academy on the 1st of September. And I had one more exam to do, and that was the RO6. And Carol managed to get me special permission that I could actually join and do the RO6 whilst I was on the academy, which helped. That was the exam I was most nervous about, because everyone knew I was doing it. I was like, oh God, what if I don't pass? Not that it matters. It doesn't matter if you don't pass first time, but it's just me putting pressure on myself. But you have all the support as well from SJP. So you had Zoom calls, and you had sessions where you could actually you had sessions where you could revise with other people that were doing it as well. So it was actually it was quite straightforward. And actually, I started in June and I finished in September. Went really quickly. Made some really good friends in the academy. We had a WhatsApp group, so we supported each other as well, which that is invaluable. That really, really helps, because everyone's in the same boat, and you realise that before you go on to the academy, you are a little bit, I guess, nervous, like you're going back to school kind of thing, and it's like, I don't know, what's it going to be like? You don't know what to expect. everyone's in the same boat, and everyone feels that way. And by the end of it, you've made some really good friends.
Fantastic. So we're recording this sort of mid-October. So you've been qualified for just over 2 months. Is that right?
Yes. So I actually I finished the academy on the 1st of September. So where are we now? So about 6 weeks. Yeah. I've been out of the academy, about 6 weeks, 7 weeks.
And what have you been doing in those first 6 weeks?
So with Hall and Costello, what they do, which actually was really helpful, for the first month, you just shadow. You shadow Ben, managing director, you shadow the other advisors to see they all got different approaches to advice, and they've all got different styles. And I just went along to their meetings and shadowed them, and I learned so much. It was just putting what I learned into practice, or watching people put it into practice, and it's just real, isn't it? It just seems like, it's just different than sitting there learning in the academy. You're actually out there in the real world, getting a real feel for it. So that was great. I would recommend that to anyone to just go out and shadow as much as you can.
Definitely. I think that, like you say, that real world experience is all very well practicing in a safe environment. You can do virtual reality, you could do a role play with somebody, but actually watching somebody else who's been doing this for years in front of a client is so valuable. And have you held any meetings yourself yet?
So when you come out of the academy, you need to be signed off for 2 fact finds. So actually 1 before you can actually go out and do the fact finds, and then another 1 before you get CAS, and then 3 presentations before you get CAS, which is competent advisory status. So I did my fact find where I signed off, so that was great. And so Gary Coke is my academy development manager. He's lovely as well, very supportive. He's got such a great support network around you, which is so helpful. So he signed me off, and I did it on my brother and his wife, which was lovely actually, because you know them, and it kind of takes that edge off a little bit. And then I have actually done a couple more fact finds as well, so on family members. So I haven't actually done any on any, I guess, strangers yet. But the thing is, I don't think it's ever going to feel like that, because you build a relationship with people before you get to that point anyway. Because you want them to trust you, and you want them to feel comfortable opening up to you. So I know that it's going to be fine when I do my
Absolutely.
my with someone else.
So I know that you have got a young family at home. How have you managed sort of juggling that with babies at home and where you are right now? What does that feel like?
I think I'm 100 miles an hour anyway, so I think that helps. I've got like lots of energy that I need to use up, which is great. But there have been times when it's been quite tough. What helps me a lot is that I've got my boyfriend is very, very supportive. He's a very much hands-on dad, and I don't think I would be able to have achieved half of what I've achieved without him. So that's great. My mum as well, she's been brilliant. So whilst I'm working, she looks after Albie, my 1-year-old. He's now 1, so she looks after him for 3 days, and then he goes into nursery 2 days. And my daughter Alyssa is 3, so independent, and she goes to nursery 5 days a week, which she loves. So that helps a lot, because I can have that headspace to do what I need to do. I guess I've just kind of taken it in my stride, really. But I'm not going to say it's been easy, because there's times it hasn't been. But I know what I want to do, and I'm determined to succeed. And I've got my family that are very supportive. So
that's fantastic to hear. I love that. So organised, which is not a surprise considering you're an executive. You were historically an executive assistant, so that doesn't surprise me. So tell me a bit about your business plan then. How do you plan on finding your first clients? How many of them will be self-sourced, and how many of them might be from the practice, for example?
So Hall and Costello give you 100 clients over 2 years, which is great. So they're review clients, and with the whole consumer duty thing, we've got a lot of review clients to see, which is great. I think that's really important, that you follow up with your clients, and Hall and Costello are great at that. So they've actually done a few BSPs. So I'm going to have some of them clients, and I'm going to review them. We just haven't been given them yet, but it's happening any day now. I've done a local advertisement in our local magazine, so that's going to be going out in November. And he actually did an editorial piece on me as well. So we did a little bit of a back to forth questionnaire over email. So that's going to be there as well, which is good, and hopefully people will engage with it. I have actually approached my local golf club to see if I can work from there on a Friday. I've got my Hall and Costello banner, and if people want to come speak to me and have a financial health check, they can do. So I'm going to try and get new clients that way. We've also got a local village pub that I've spoken to that I'm also going to work from there, one day a month as well. And I'm going to give people an incentive, if you come and see me, and I get a certain amount of financial health checks completed, then there'll be a raffle. So just, I think it will just be, it's a really good thing for the community to give them financial advice. People do not realise how important it is. I'm, one of them people, so I understand that. And I just want to help people. And the thing is, the hard thing is to get people to engage with you because they don't realise how much they need it until it's too late. And that's happened to me. So I just want to educate people. So I'm going to be doing that. And I've got my own network as well that I'm going to be reaching out to. And I think a lot of it is referrals. So once I get going, hopefully the referrals will start coming in as well.
I love that, Miriam, because you really are sort of leaning into your personal strengths. So I can imagine everybody in the pub's going to know that that's your day, and more people will hear how great the conversation was, and it will be infectious. And in the golf club too, people are going to be like, oh, hi, like, what are you doing sitting here, working here? And you're just infectious to have a conversation with anyway, regardless whether it's financial or not, and it will lead to those financial conversations. But what I also love is your creativity there. So I think people often feel like a professional connection has to be something traditional, like an accountancy firm or a solicitor's firm, when actually you've just gone outside the box and said local golf club, local pub. And I think that's absolutely brilliant because it suits you and it suits your personality. So I look forward to hearing how you get on.
Thank you.
So what are you most excited about for the future now that you've got this new role?
So again, it's all about, I love helping people, and I'm just excited to educate people on the importance of, financial planning and helping them make better choices and seeing, their life unfold, because, once you've got a client, you're hopefully going to be with them for their life and guiding them along. So that's what I'm excited about, changing people's lives for the better. Just how mine was, I guess, because I got that advice from Rob, and paying it forward almost. And also watching my children hopefully make good financial choices, because, I'm going to make sure that I teach them that. I'm going to read them, financial books. But Rob's got a book, Save Your Acorns. I've already started reading them that. And just teaching them the importance, of financial planning, and just giving them a better life as well. So it is all of it's exciting. It's I don't know what's going to happen in the future. I'm a little bit, I'm not going to lie, if I'd lie if I said that I wasn't a little bit nervous that I am on a self-employed route now, because it's something that's new to me. But actually it's also excitement. So yeah, I'm just excited for what could happen in the future.
I love it. And you've backed yourself before. You backed yourself getting through those exams. You got your first time pass. You know that you're capable of focusing your mind on an outcome and achieving it. So good luck.
Thank you so much.
And what advice would you give to people watching this episode if they're considering coming to have a conversation? What advice would you give?
So I think probably one of the most important things is to understand why you want to be a financial advisor. It's it is hard work, and it is you don't know when you're going to meet your clients or how you're going to meet your clients. So, but if you know why you're doing it, then you're actually, that in itself is something that's going to inspire you to keep going. So understand, really dig deep and know why you want to do it. Because I think once you know why, and if it's for the right reasons for you, then you will succeed. And then I think you should definitely go for it.
That's such good advice. Thank you. So thank you for joining us on the show. How can people find you? How can they get in contact with you should they wish to?
So they can email me. So my email address is miriam.murphy@sjpp.co.uk. I've also got an Instagram account. So my Instagram is Miriam Murphy _financial advisor. And I'm on LinkedIn as well. I cannot remember my URL for my LinkedIn because it's but yeah, I'm on LinkedIn as well. So if they look me up, they can find me on there too.
We can find you. And what's the name of your practice?
It's Hall and Costello Wealth Management, and we've got a website as well.
Fantastic. So we'll make sure all the links are below the episode. But thank you so much for coming on, Miriam, sharing your story. I think it's such an inspiring one. It's such a relatable story for so many people. And the fact that you just want to spread all of the things that you've learned to help others achieve what you have is extremely inspiring. And I'm super excited to watch your success over the coming years.
Thank you so much, Dee.